It only took one emphatic nod from hip-hop's ultimate showman to freeze the courtroom. So what explosive secret was Diddy so desperate to hide that the judge nearly threw him out of his own trial? Day 17 of testimony should have been routine, until Sean Diddy Combs decided to let his face do the talking. It started with a single, sharp nod aimed straight at the jury box. Then another. Soon, the hip-hop titan was bobbing his head so vigorously the entire paneled row couldn't look away. Judge Subramanian slammed his gavel and cut the room to silence. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't have to. "One more gesture," the judge warned, "and you'll finish this trial from a holding cell." Suddenly, the larger-than-life mogul looked shrunken, eyes locked forward, shoulders pinned to the back of his chair. For the first time since opening statements, the swagger evaporated. Why did a simple head nod matter? Because the jury's gaze is sacred ground. Any hint that Combs was silently coaching them, agreeing here, dismissing there, risked turning deliberation into intimidation. The prosecution smelled blood, whispering that the bad boy founder couldn't help but perform, even when everything was on the line. The defense scrambled, promising their client would remain expressionless from now on. Yet the damage lingered in the air. Viewers in the overflow room watched as Combs' famous cool cracked, wondering, if he can't control a nod, what else can't he control? Outside, reporters rewrote their leads. Fans on social media turned the moment into a viral GIF. Inside, the judge leaned back, satisfied the point had landed. Order restored, for now. But the jury hadn't heard the most chilling testimony yet, and the tension that filled the oak-paneled chamber was only the opening act. Because what came next would drag the spotlight from a silent head nod to a night painted blood red by neon lights. Jane said the first clue was the lighting. As she stepped into Diddy's penthouse suite, every bulb glowed crimson, an eerie filter that turned gold fixtures blood red and made time feel elastic. An assistant wordlessly swapped her phone for a silk robe, then vanished behind a door that clicked shut like a vault. The scene looked cinematic, almost staged. 24 bottles of baby oil lined up on a mirrored dresser, bath towels folded with hotel-grade precision, a lone Bluetooth speaker purring lo-fi R&B. That night, Jane figured, was a one-off thrill between new lovers. Instead, it was lesson number 1 in a routine prosecutors now frame as organized trafficking. Over 3 years, she told the jury, 9 out of every 10 nights followed the same script. Setup, red lights on, phones out, assistants texted. Hair down for arrivals, pulled into a tight ponytail once the door sealed shut. Stage props, baby oil replenished faster than minibar snacks. Half-used bottles disappeared, full ones appeared, as if conjured. The guest star, an escort, entered without knocking, disrobed, and went straight to work while Diddy reclined like a maitre d' of chaos, recording on a handheld camcorder Jane never saw outside those rooms. Sometimes Jane resisted outright. "I'm tired. I feel sick. Not tonight." But said the answer came preloaded. "Relax. I got you. Don't mess up the vibe." Flights, jewelry, rent money. Her world felt leased on a contract she hadn't read. Prosecutors asked why she stayed. Jane's answer cut the gallery to a hush, because when you're living his fantasy, you forget you ever had your own. Inside the crimson glow, her boundaries blurred into stage directions. Outside, tabloid cameras crowned her the mogul's latest muse. Never guessing the production cost was her consent. Yet, even that sinister choreography wasn't the darkest tale the jury would hear. Because in another suite, on another coast, a friend named Briana claims the music mogul traded red lights for open air and dangled a life above 23 floors of midnight sky. Briana Bangolan still hears the wind. One moment, she was pressed against a glass balcony rail on the 17th floor of Diddy's Century City condo. The next, she claims, her heels were dangling over a midnight abyss, fingers clawing his wrists while city traffic glittered like broken stars below. She swears she felt him loosen his grip, just enough to let gravity taste her fear before yanking her back and telling her to remember who's in charge. That scene is the prosecution's flashpoint, the anecdote they say explains why Cassie Ventura tolerated the Red Room nightmare for years. Jurors leaned in as Briana fought tears, insisting she'll never forget the cold air slicing her throat or the man who put her there. But memory met a wall of paperwork. The defense rolled out receipts like an accountant balancing books. 1. Tour itinerary, September 25th through 29, 2016. Bad Boy reunion concerts in New Jersey. 2. Hotel ledger. Sean Combs checked into Manhattan's Trump International on the 24th, ordering room service at 9:45 a.m. on the 26th, the very window Briana pins for the Los Angeles balcony stunt. 3. Metadata bombshell, the iPhone photo of Briana's neck brace, time-stamped West Coast yes, but files showed it was saved 3 days after Diddy's New York performance. With every document, defense counsel asked the same daggered question. Can a man be in two places at once? Briana's answer, theoretically yes, echoed off oak walls like a confession of doubt. Then prosecutors counterpunch with a digital ghost, a 2016 text dredged from Diddy's ex-chief of staff's phone, Cassie typing he dangled her off the railing. No lawsuit existed then, no Netflix doc deal in sight, just a frantic message stamped in real time, or so the government argues. Suddenly, the timeline felt elastic again, warped by private jets, time zones, and the kind of money that turns coast to coast into a morning commute. Which story lands? Jurors now juggle competing truths, the visceral terror of a balcony freefall versus the sterile certainty of spreadsheets. If they doubt Briana, do they also doubt Cassie? Every inconsistency ripples outward, threatening to unravel testimonies stitched together by shared trauma. Yet the balcony mystery is only half the picture. Because while lawyers brawled over dates and data, Homeland security agents were quietly preparing battering rams for a bi-coastal raid, one that would pry open vaults, seize hard drives, and expose evidence no witness could spin away. That showdown is next. March 25, 2024 began like any other sunny Monday in Holmby Hills until 5 matte black SUVs rumbled through Diddy's wrought iron gates and federal agents and HSI windbreakers spilled out like a human tidal wave. One squad sprinted for the garage, another fanned across marble floors shouting, "Search warrant," while the house staff froze, latte frothers still whirring in the kitchen. In Miami, 45 minutes later, a second team did the same ballet, battering through the oceanfront villa where the Mogul often docked his 180-foot yacht. Within the hour, both properties were strung with yellow tape, drone cameras circling overhead as if Hollywood had optioned its own crime scene franchise. What were they after? According to the warrant, anything that could prove a pattern. External hard drives, flight manifests, surveillance DVRs, lubricant containers, cash ledgers, NDAs. Agents photographed every bedroom, bagged every USB stick, and even boxed up a stack of monogrammed silk robes still damp from a poolside party the night before. Neighbors peeked through blinds while TMZ live-streamed the chaos. Twitter renamed the affair Operation Freak Off. But inside the Holmby Hills mansion, the mood was eerily calm. A French bulldog padded across Persian rugs, sniffing at cardboard evidence crates stacked like fortresses. Upstairs, an agent found a door with a biometric lock. Inside, a private theater converted into a red-lit studio. Shelves of baby oil bottles lined the wall like trophies. A handheld camcorder lay on a velvet seat, battery dead but memory card full. By sunset, 27 evidence boxes were wheeled down the driveway, each numbered in black Sharpie. Diddy was 2,400 miles away, learning about the raid via frantic texts from his head of security. "They've got everything, boss." The Mogul had outdanced lawsuits, rumors, and rival beefs for 3 decades. But this time, the music stopped on a federal beat, and the silence left everyone wondering what secrets would spill once those hard drives started spinning in an evidence lab. Yet even an empire under siege can buy a pause button, because while agents inventoried every seized byte, Combs's legal team worked the phones, prepping NDAs, wiring hush payments, and drafting the kind of contracts that keep whispers buried. And that scramble for silence is exactly where the next chapter begins. The raids hadn't even wrapped when Diddy's crisis team fanned out like paramedics, stitching cash bandages over every open wound. Lawyers drafted new non-disclosure agreements at lightning speed, tighter, meaner, with penalties that could bankrupt a Fortune 500 CEO. One clause, insiders say, threatened $1 million fine for a single leaked sentence. Another slapped a 5-year gag on anyone who so much as blinked at a reporter. It wasn't the first time money flashed like a stop sign. When Cassie Ventura filed her bombshell suit in November 2023, the ink dried on a reported $20 million settlement before the weekend was over. The message rippled through the industry. Challenge the bad boy general, walk away rich, just don't ever talk about it. Within weeks, blogs whispered about an underground hit list of quiet payouts, $30K to a hotel concierge who witnessed a red room shuffle, $50K to a stylist who saw bruises covered in foundation, 6 figures to a private pilot who kept receipts for Midnight Island hops. Each payment came with a fresh NDA and the same blunt cover letter, "We trust your discretion." But secrecy is a leaky ship. A former security guard, paid handsomely for silence, confided to a friend that the hush money felt like getting paid to bury a ghost. The friend screenshotted the confession, tucked it into a cloud folder, and vanished from social media 2 hours later. Prosecutors now comb through banking records, matching wire transfers to timestamps, building a ledger of fear dressed up as generosity. Every new payout told its own story. Some victims bought condos, others cleared medical bills, a few simply disappeared into quiet towns with new surnames. Yet the checks could never erase the digital fingerprints, metadata on apology emails, geotags on private jet selfies, voicemail promises that nobody needs to know. In the grand jury's hands, those whispers turned into thunder. Still, money did what money does. It delayed headlines, softened testimony, and bought the mogul enough breathing room to patch the next crisis. But cash has an expiration date, and the empire that once printed it on demand was starting to sputter. Sponsors pulled ads, streaming services muted playlists, and Wall Street analysts trimmed hundreds of millions off his net worth projections. Because you can purchase silence, but you can't bribe the market, and the market was about to deliver its own verdict on a kingdom built from beats, bottles, and non-disclosure ink. For 2 decades, Sean Combs boasted a resume written in platinum. Ciroc billboards on Times Square, De Leon tequila poured at 4-figure VIP tables, a Revolt TV stake that promised to mint the culture's next billionaire. But the moment Homeland security trucks rolled up his driveway, investors started sprinting the other way. First to bolt was Diageo. The spirits giant severed its Ciroc De Leon alliance within weeks, dropping a polite press release about brand alignment while quietly offloading cases by the pallet. Then came the dominoes. Advertising partners paused campaigns. Revolt's board ordered a strategic review, and luxury fashion houses scrubbed archived photo shoots faster than you can say canceled. Forbes reflected the damage in real time, slicing Combs's estimated net worth from a 2019 high of $740 million to roughly $400 million today. That's still generational money until you stack it against mounting legal fees, retreating liquor royalties, and frozen royalty statements from streaming platforms wary of backlash. Suddenly, the man who once rapped "Sky's the limit" found his cash flow trapped in a holding cell alongside him. Inside Rikers' gray walls, breakfasts arrive at dawn on a plastic tray. Outside, the Holmby Hills chef who once plated gold leaf soufflés has been furloughed until further notice. The yacht staff? Gone. The $1 million Miami studio? Quiet. Even his birthday white party, Hollywood's favorite summer flex, was canceled. Invitations reduced to digital dust. Yet financial collapse isn't a silent implosion. It's loud, public, and merciless. Blogs tally every lost endorsement. Wall Street whispers about loan defaults, and A-list friends ghost his calls. The empire that once symbolized hip-hop excess is now a real-time case study in what happens when brand equity meets criminal allegations head-on. But while the spreadsheets hemorrhage, one rival mogul sees nothing but content gold. Cameras are rolling, interviews are stacking, and a Netflix logo hovers like a specter at the edge of the story. Because as Combs's empire burns, Curtis 50 Cent Jackson is already scripting the documentary that could immortalize the downfall, and the lens he's aiming isn't budgeted for mercy. Curtis 50 Cent Jackson smelled a blockbuster the instant the cuffs clicked. Within a week, his G-Unit film and television team reserved editing bays, secured archival licensing, and pitched Netflix what he called the fall of a cultural titan, told by the people he paid to keep quiet. The streamer bit immediately. Rumor has it the deal's mid-eight figures, contingent on interviews with at least 3 alleged victims and a finale timed to the verdict. Jackson's cameras now lurk outside every hearing, catching raw street reactions, while a second crew lights hotel rooms for sit-downs with ex-bodyguards, rejected NDA signers, even a retired tour bus driver who claims he ferried unmarked duffel bags stuffed with cash across state lines. Each source signs a waiver. Each waiver adds value to an ever-growing IP library. Diddy's lawyers fired off cease and desist letters, but they landed with a thud. Fair use doctrine is a sharp tool in 50's hands, and public domain court transcripts are free. He's already bought unused B-roll from 1990s BET specials, sourced unreleased studio footage from a disgruntled engineer, and inked a partnership with a true crime podcast network to drop weekly behind-the-scenes teasers. The mogul, once famous for starting rap beefs, is now feasting on the ultimate rival, a fallen king whose empire fueled the very culture that 50 monetizes. Critics accuse Jackson of exploitation. He shrugs and points to a proposed survivors fund that will bank a percentage of profits. Everybody eats, he says in promo clips, gold grin gleaming. But behind the philanthropy is a ruthless business mind. Streaming algorithms love messy redemption arcs, and Diddy's saga comes with platinum soundtracks ready-made for needle drops. Industry insiders whisper that A-list artists, worried about proximity blowback, are begging to appear on camera to set the record straight. Jackson, never one to skip leverage, dangles screen time like bait. Talk now, control your narrative, or risk becoming a villain in episode 3. Meanwhile, Combs's camp files injunction motions faster than court clerks can stamp them. Yet every legal volley only sparks more buzz, because controversy sells and 50 Cent is printing currency out of chaos. But while one mogul films the storm, another strategy brews quietly in a sealed courtroom binder. A defense witness roster packed with surprise names and a whispered promise of political muscle. The next session could flip the narrative in a single afternoon. The prosecution has almost emptied its chamber, but the defense has kept its deck face down. Until now. Court filings show Combs's witness list is sealed, a rarity even in high-profile cases. Reporters piece together fragments. Ex-Bad Boy executives, a veteran tour accountant, and at least 2 chart-topping artists whose names surfaced in Cassie Ventura's testimony but never left their green rooms. Industry gossip points to a rotating cast. Usher, Pharrell, maybe even Mary J. Blige, ready to testify that the so-called freak-offs were consensual adult fantasies, not trafficking theater. Lawyers won't confirm a thing, but Newsweek counted more than a dozen A-listers name-dropped in open court, each now fielding midnight subpoenas. The defense strategy is simple: drown the jury in star power and sow enough reasonable doubt to crack unanimity. Imagine a parade of platinum plaques and Grammy gowns marching through the witness box, each voice saying some variation of, "We saw nothing illegal." One credible celebrity could tilt a single juror. 5 might hang the entire trial. Yet the real bombshell isn't in the witness queue. It's in Washington. On May 30, former President Donald Trump told reporters he would look into a pardon if he felt Combs had been mistreated. He doubled down a week later, admitting no formal request had reached his desk, but people are thinking about it. The comment detonated across social media. 50 Cent instantly posted an Instagram story warning Trump that this ain't the hill to die on, overlaying an old clip of Diddy calling Trump dangerous. Pardon chatter electrifies the defense war room. If a conviction lands, Combs's lawyers could file clemency paperwork the same day, banking on Trump's appetite for headline pardons. Prosecutors call it a Hail Mary, but jurors know the possibility exists. And possibility alone can complicate deliberations. Meanwhile, a quiet lobbying campaign swirls behind closed doors. Administrative Clemency Field, veteran political fixers, once hired to secure concert permits, now draft memos on clemency precedent. One memo cites Lil Wayne and Kodak Black, both pardoned by Trump in 2021, as proof a music industry pass is plausible. Another maps out donors who could sweeten re-election coffers if Trump pulls the trigger. The judge has barred any mention of pardons before the jury, yet whispers seep through courthouse corridors. Why convict a man the White House might free? The prosecution fires back with a motion to exclude speculative political outcomes, but the question hangs in the air like smoke. Outside, cameras catch Combs's family arriving under umbrellas, the skyline steel gray with summer rain. Inside, the mogul sits stone still, flanked by lawyers polishing final witness prep. Tomorrow, the defense opens its case at 9 a.m. When the gavel finally drops, it won't echo only through a Manhattan courtroom. It will reverberate across every club where a bad boy anthem still rattles the speakers, every liquor shelf once crowned with Ciroc, and every hard drive confiscated in the raids. Whether the jury stamps guilty or not, the trial has already rewritten the myth of hip-hop's most flamboyant mogul. Because a verdict can't rewind the Red Room footage now logged in evidence, erase the text messages archived in prosecutors' binders, or return the millions spent silencing uneasy consciences. It can't stop 50 Cent's documentary from streaming, nor can it glue back the brand contracts torn in half the moment allegations hit cable news tickers. History books rarely leave blank pages, and the chapter on Sean Combs will be inked in footnotes of both platinum and scandal. Yet legacy is a living thing, shaped by playlists, memes, and late-night debates long after court reporters pack up their laptops. 10 years from now, will fans blast Mo Money, Mo Problems in nostalgic bliss, or skip the track out of principle? Will record labels rethink who they crown as culture's gatekeepers, or slide back to business as usual once the headlines fade? Maybe the real judgment belongs to us, the viewers, the streamers, the voices that decide which stories keep spinning and which stay stuck on pause. Because in the end, the empire's rise and fall is more than a trial transcript. It's a mirror held up to an industry that too often turns red flags into party lights. So as court lights dim and the players exit stage left, one question lingers. When you press play tomorrow, whose story will you believe, and whose silence will you notice?